So I'm just gonna go ahead and state this. I'm gonna look like a hot mess and a crazy person because it's that type of video anyway. And it's also 7 o'clock in the morning and I just don't feel like it. So I just wanted to talk about maybe like, not even like demon possession, but just probably like simulation theory more than anything. And it's not even simulation theory, it's just God theory, period. Like consciousness. Like after like a lot of the spiritual journey that I've been on, I just believe in not anything, but I believe in a lot more than I used to. I used to be like, not necessarily an atheist. I just kind of just didn't believe in anything, like at all. Just because I'm one of those people who have to see it to believe it, and I did. I saw a lot, and now I believe in things that I didn't before. Anyway, so now that I've got that out of the way, so I've been on this spiritual journey. If you don't know my content, you can go ahead and watch a lot of my other videos. I've stated a lot of what I've been through as far as my spiritual journey, especially back in 2020 when COVID started. So if you need a little overview of some of the stuff, the backstory of what I'm talking about, go ahead and check out my content about like the Great Awakening, the Golden Age, and stuff like that. I'll leave that in the comment section down below so you can watch that content before this. Anyway, so dream interpretation, that's like the main, well, not necessarily the main viewpoint. It's more like subconscious theory. So I have this theory that there's this God source, this energy source that is very living, very breathing, and very conscious, and is its own creature in its own way. And it's connected to all of us, but it believes that it's just one creature, and so it doesn't have this individuality. And so we, as a species, we all believe in community and stuff because that's like, that's the foundation of life because it just is. Like think about like, wildlife and how wildlife works. Like, just a little small example, ants. You have like your fire ants, which are like the leader ants, and they go around and collect things and stuff. But then they have like their sugar ants, which are their worker ants, and they just kind of report duty straight to them, and that's just how nature works, right? So there's like this code, this foundation of life, where creatures work a certain way, but then they change, they adapt to their reality and their environment based on what's happening. And so consciousness is essentially always evolving, it's always changing, and so it never has this chance to just really breathe and understand itself and realize that it is these individual creatures. It's just constantly updating, it's constantly changing, it's constantly creating new things, and just so it's always evolving, and it feels like it's just a single creature that's never going to be its individual self, right? And so I have this theory that God is a demigod. So I've witnessed some really crazy things. I'm gonna go straight into this. Is a backstory or a little bit more of my twin flame journey, because my twin flame journey has been crazy, and I'm just gonna talk about it. At first, I was really afraid to talk about it because I thought that, karmically something would happen to me, and so I was just kind of scared, which was a really strange and very scary feeling. Yeah. I guess not necessarily demonic. It was kind of my own insecurities about talking something godlike or, esoteric, something bigger than me and myself. It felt really strange, and it intimidated me, basically. So, with that in mind, I haven't talked about this very much. I've talked about little bits of it. So, just go through my content if you really want to get, like, the meat of the story, because there's a lot to really take in with this. But anyway, going back into it. So, like, the beginning of my twin flame journey, I had this DMT trip. I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit of backstory. I had this DMT trip back in 2020. I gained what I believed was 2020 vision. And so I myself believed that I was God. I still believe that I'm God. It's really strange. I don't really have, I'm not like one of those, oh, I'm God, I'm better than you types. That's not what I'm trying to say. I just really have this thing where I truly believe that I am God itself, and that all these other creatures are just a part of my subconscious, and they're subconsciously moving based on my own my back subconscious, like my back thoughts, the things that I don't have control over. And so people are essentially not necessarily not real, but they're not real either. They're being affected by my own energy, and so when I come into a room, they become conscious, that sort of thing. And I've seen this theory before. I can't remember exactly what the theory was, but I saw this last night. I'll see if I can find the video. It was on TikTok, so I'll leave it in the comments if I can find it, so you guys can watch this theory that I'm talking about, because it'll give you a better concept and idea of what I'm talking about as far as like subconsciously controlled. So it's not necessarily like you're being controlled by like a demon or this godlike creature, but the subconscious is what's creating your reality. It's controlling the reality around you. And so it essentially believes that it's controlling you, and so it has this force over you, and it makes it sad. It makes it feel like it's its own prison. So consciousness essentially feels like a prison to itself, because it has these creatures that are within it and do not understand how it works. And so it becomes a prison because people cannot understand and comprehend what it's trying to explain to itself. So, in itself, it is a prison, subconsciously. Even though it really isn't. It is just life. It is the code to life. But it feels like it is its own prison because it created itself. And so, essentially, I've been on this really crazy spiritual journey, and it was almost like life was trying to reflect these meanings back onto me as an individual creature, so I could explain them to you. And I know other people get what's called downloads. I don't call them downloads. I don't have a voice in my head. I don't believe in that stuff. I do kind of... You know what? Maybe I do believe in downloads, because I had this... You know what? I'm not going to talk about this because I am this crazy person. But, like, seriously, I had this dream last night or the other night, and I was, like, not talking in my sleep, but I woke up after this really spiritual dream. I'll make a video about that, too, so you can watch that one, and I'll leave the comment down below, too. There's going to be a lot of comments down, or a lot of links down there. So, anyway... The dream that I had a dream that I was like myself, but Satan or this creature was in my mind, and I was at a resort. I was at this beautiful resort, and it was so wonderful, and there was all these people having fun and laughing and enjoying themselves, but I was trying to explain to them something about God or Satan. I don't know if it was like the world was going to end. I don't think so, because it didn't seem that dramatic. I was just frantic, and I was trying to express things, but my face was covered, and it was almost like, you know, the face mask that we're currently wearing, but it was like stronger. It was almost like hands, and I could not speak. I was being held back. My voice was being held back, and it was almost like it was signifying my insecurities. And I know for a fact that I am a dream interpreter now. So I was, in fact, like holding myself back with my insecurities. And this is essentially also why I don't talk about these things, because they're just really crazy to believe in. But like I said, look at my hair. It is 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry, I'm lazy. But no, seriously, like, this stuff is crazy. So, you know, I'm just gonna start talking about it because it makes really great content. But, like, I wish I still had a lot of evidence, because if I had more evidence for all this stuff happening, it would be way more interesting, and y'all would, like, you know, be like, oh, this chick's not that crazy, and the world is what's crazy. Yeah. But anyways, so back on that journey, the 2020 vision, the DMT trip, I was back up in Portland, and so I jumped through what I believed was a portal. Portland portal. And it's really complicated, trust me. Anyway, so I left Portland when all the COVID stuff was happening, because it was a liberal city. It was very crazy. A lot of stuff was happening. So I moved back to my hometown, and then I was still going on this spiritual journey, and all these messages, this intuition. I was going on the computer, I was researching things, and information was coming directly to me. And I had what was this connection to gematria. I'm still connected to gematria, but I've toned down my intuition, because a lot of the intuition and stuff was just kind of coming at me. There's way too much information all at once, and it overwhelmed me so bad. And so, anyway, like all of this information about all the things going on, COVID, coronavirus, and then technology, celebrities being vicious and evil and malicious, and the pharmaceutical industry. There's all this, like, negative energy, negative information coming at me so I could reveal truth. And so I became what was called a truther, a woke person or whatever. But, like, I started speaking up about, like, all of these, all of the things that are happening, um, mostly directly related to COVID, and then, like, Hollywood and stuff, because obviously a lot of that stuff, well, not obviously, but a lot of that stuff is a lot more out in the open now because a lot more people talk about it. But I was on that train. I was on this spiritual journey, and that's the type of stuff that I was talking about, and like inner soul stuff, and things that came to me. And then I got into alchemy, and not necessarily witchcraft. I got into a little bit of witchcraft and messed around with some black magic and learned about karma the hard way. Yeah, there's a lot of really strong spiritual journeys, spiritual information that you can and should learn, but also be very wary and careful of. Yeah, I learned a lot about all of that stuff, being on that journey. Now, going back to like the dream and the twin flame journey. So I have this twin flame, and he is. I met him back in the day when I was like 16. We met on the internet, and so it was like a toxic situation already. Because like if you meet anybody on the internet, there's always gonna be these like things. Usually, not always. I'm being dramatic because a lot more people date on the internet now, but like there's always like these things about people who usually date on the internet, like they have like like me, I had toxic insecurities, and that's why I dated somebody on the internet. And so it was just, it wasn't that great of a situation, and so I thought negatively of it, and that, the guy was just not really that into me because we met on the internet, and usually that's a big red flag. Anyway, so we didn't really know each other in this lifespan at all. So I didn't know how to process it or think about it. But at some point in my really darkest point, my darkest point of my spiritual journey, I got this urge to go and visit my twin flame who lived out in California while I was in New Mexico. And oh God, the distance between us was 777 miles. And so what did I do? My spiritual ass was like, let's go. I didn't know. I wasn't like that. I cried my ass off, and I asked the universe if it was sure that this was a good idea, because it didn't seem like it was a good idea, because this guy was going to drag me out to a hotel, and he was just going to treat me like a piece of meat, and he didn't actually give a shit about my heart or who I am or what I gave a fuck about. And so I did it anyway, because my soul put me on this journey, and whether it's a light journey or a dark journey, it put me on this journey, and I was intended on taking it. So I did. I drove my ass out to Cali, 777 miles, ended up in a motel with this guy. But we tripped out, we did acid and talked a little bit, not very much, and so, I didn't think much of it. I cried my ass off because I felt like, a terrible person for doing that, a little bit of a hoe, not gonna lie. But, because I don't like to do those sorts of things, I'm not really that type of person, but I did it anyway because he was a past lover, and I was very much in love with him because, my insecurities. Um, nah, that's not really true. I do like his personality, but yeah, anyway, I'm not gonna put people on blast. Anyway, so, like, I left literally that same day, but then I kept getting all these messages consciously, like through artwork, psychic stuff, or whatever you want to call it, and so I just didn't know what to do with the information, how to process it. I didn't know where it was going, and it just kept coming to me, but it was just like it was swimming around my brain. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that Akira movie. You should if you haven't. It's a Studio Ghibli movie, but like basically it's this guy who gets this superpower of consciousness, and his brain just keeps getting filled with information, and eventually his head just explodes and expands and then explodes and consumes like everybody around him. That sort of thing. That's the feeling that you get. And I had seizures. I had so many seizures. I think I've died about like 6 or 7 times in the past few years from all of these downloads and information. And so I thought very negatively of spirituality for a while, and I felt like I was like the only conscious creature, and that everything around me was not real. It was fake. And also, he came into my dream, my twin flame, at some point. I don't remember exactly when. He came into my dream and totally told me that my family was a simulation and that nobody in my family was real. And you know, the if you watched my other content, there was those clouds up in the sky when I hung out with that family. They were watching The Simpsons, and I was like tripping balls. Like, I swear, they were watching The Simpsons, and they seemed like, you know, one of those generic, like, I shouldn't say generic, but like, you know what I mean, like generic, like spiritual Christian type families, and they're pretty chill and stuff. And they took me up to the mountains to hang out and stuff. They were a nice couple. And there was like these clouds up in the sky, the female and the male falling from the sky. And so essentially, as soon as I saw that, I thought about me and my twin flame falling from the sky, falling from heaven down to earth, and being in this simulation. So what my theory was is that me and him were these two divine creatures, like divine masculine and divine feminine, these twin flame characters, and that we needed to come together in order for the world to become better. But I still don't know how that works. Maybe that was just a radical theory. I still don't believe that it's a radical theory. I really strongly believe in that theory. But that's deep, and I can't really explain that to you. It's just something you would have to experience, and other than that, you're just not gonna understand what I'm saying, so I won't explain that. Anyway, so dream interpretation. He came to me, told me I was a simulated character in a simulated reality and stuff, or my family was, and so that made me super depressed because I thought that everything was fake, everyone wasn't real, but I knew that they were real. I knew that they were real. I love them. They're my family, and you know, I didn't necessarily despise him, but I had this dark side for him because he told me that my family was fake, and so my reality melted. I got really depressed, suicidal, the seizures were happening, COVID was happening, all this darkness. I went through this really, really deep dark night of the soul. But it made me strong. It made me super strong, like a little bit too strong, where I'm not really capable of falling in love in a romantic type of way, but I am very capable of unconditional love now because I see the world in a way different, broader view. And I truly do believe in 5D reality and that we are connected as like essentially one creature, and that there's way more to life that we can create if we came together or do come together, and we are coming together, but it's just like a slow process. So the twin flame journey, I'm still trying to process a lot of it because I get all of these like intuitive stuff, like between numerology, time, looking at the clock at like a certain time, like 8:22, a message between numerology will come through and it'll be very, very accurate. And so I truly trust in my intuition and that sort of guidance. It's just I'm still trying to come into tune with it because it was a little too much for me to process. And again, I was having seizures, and I don't know if that was because of the the seizures was because of the spiritual stuff, the guidance, or if it was just me and my body and who I am. So it's just something I have to weigh out and be careful and wary of as far as using my psychic abilities, because I don't want to get stressed out and trigger my seizures. So there's this thing about spirituality that I'm still trying to balance out and understand about the twin flame journey, because the twin flame journey is very, very dark. If you've ever been on it, it is the darkest journey you'll ever go on because it is a karmic journey. It is not about true love. I love you, creatures. I love you so much, but it is not about true love. It is about self-love. Self-love is the ultimate love that you can receive from the universe, period. Because the only person that will ever be there for you truly is yourself. And no, you can't always be there for yourself, and that's why we have community. And that's also what the twin flame journey teaches you, though, is that it's not somebody else's responsibility to love you. It is your responsibility to love yourself. And then in such, when you do love yourself and you become a loving creature, you will receive love from the universe, and the universe will help you in your darkest days, in your darkest moments. And that is the type of abundance that you will receive from spirituality. Not materialistic, not materialism, not gold. The golden age is about fool's gold. It was there to trick you into believing that you were going to receive a bunch of money, to trick you into materialism, to prove some points about your darkest lust. I'm not saying that these things are evil, first of all. I'm just saying they are not the answer to life, and a lot of it will be soul crushing, soul devouring, and it will crush you, and it will feed your ego and not your soul. So just before you get intimidated by what I'm saying, just try to process that. Again, the twin flame journey is not about true romantic love and falling in love with this person. He's going to sweep you away and all that stuff. It is the darkest journey you will ever go. Well, not the darkest, but it's a dark journey that you will go on, because the twin flame will always run from you. When you chase a twin flame, they will run. And when you attract, they will run. You can't do either. You can't attract, you can't chase in a twin flame journey. It just has to happen based off of the universe. The universe will bring you together. And this is essentially the universe's idea and concept of free will, because the universe is the key. The universe knows what has to happen in order for a better reality to happen, because the universe was already created. The universe wrote itself before it created you, but you essentially created yourself within the universe. See how complicated that is? Yeah, it's a lot to process. So, now, thinking back on the twin flame journey, recently, because I cut off a lot of that twin flame journey. I did like some cord cutting ceremonies and stuff because it was just too much to process while I'm going on all my other stuff and everything else. So anyway, I reconnected and I did the shrine thing, reconnected and did some like candle lighting ceremonies for my twin flame, and I carry a spell jar around me so I can like get back in tune with that energy and learn more about my spiritual side from the twin flame perspective and all the golden age sort of stuff, so I can really understand like true abundance and what that actually means, because I guess maybe it means, different things for other people, I'm sure, because not everybody needs family, not everybody has family. Maybe some of that is from insecurities or something from like past lives, I'm not sure. However, I truly believe that there's way more to life, and that those sort of things hold us back, because of like technology wise we could be creating a lot more, but since we're so like comfortable, we're not changing and evolving because we're comfortable where we are. So we need a little bit of like shaking up sort of thing in order to adapt and change, because that's like literally how people learn to adapt and change, because their environment's shaken up. So, like, okay, sorry, going back, recently, the dream interpretation. So this is about, like, twin flame and dream interpretation, because a lot of the twin flame stuff that I've received has all been through dreams or geometria. And so, it overwhelmed me, and I felt like I was being possessed. I'm gonna just put that out there, and I feel bad for saying this, but it was so strong. But it's also like my psychic abilities. I can't really help it to feel like possessed, because I am a part of the universe, and I can feel when the universe is taking the wheel. I can literally feel it. It's hard to explain, but I become a different person. And so the dream that I had, I've had a few dreams, throughout the disconnect with my twin flame, and I saw him like we were at a concert or something, or this group thing, this giant I'm trying to think about pavilion type of place. There you go. Words. This giant pavilion type of place, and I saw him in a distance, but then he like got, he like hid in the crowd and disappeared. So twin flame runner type of dream. That's what that signified for me. And so I just shrugged it off, put it in the back of my mind, got over it. But then recently, like a couple days ago, or the last 3 days or 4 days, I've had like these reoccurring dreams where I'm at the resort and my face is covered and I'm trying to talk to people, I'm trying to speak up and say these things about like the world and what's going on in it, but nobody's listening. Nobody's listening to me talk about like the really hard things that are happening, and so I just become overwhelmed and I suffocate and I fall. And so it's almost like, I don't know if the universe is telling me to just not bother and just get over it because the world will never listen, or if it's just trying to tell me about my insecurities, because I believe it's trying to tell me about my insecurities because I haven't made a lot of content recently. So I'm assuming that's what it means. Hopefully I'll get more views now, because I'm being more open about like my reality and talking about what's happened to me. But I definitely believe in reincarnation now, because a lot of the stuff that I've seen, it signified reincarnation, it signified intuition, and it signified my connection with the universe, like these third eye, all seeing eye type of consciousness, and all of these symbols like coronavirus, things that I created in life and my family created in life. Like my dad created this during like the beginning, before coronavirus happened. He made this, the crown. I put the eyes on it, but it had the crown and the skull. Corona means crown, by the way. Consciousness. So there was all these symbols and stuff being shown to me, and so I just got overwhelmed, and I felt like I was like this godlike creature, this goddess that was essentially responsible for all of the hardships in life. And so I had all this karma that I had to transmute and I had to turn all this pain into love. I just had to. I had no choice, or I was just gonna live in fucking misery. Sorry for cursing, but yeah, I was. So it's almost like God was trying to talk to me, and I still strongly believe this. Maybe it's not really God, but it is like this god, like I believe it's a demigod. I believe there's a demigod amongst us, and that we are all essentially demigods. We just don't understand our power, our psychic abilities, because we've been tuned out of them, because of society and how it works. I mean, just understand witchcraft. Like, witchcraft has been around for centuries, and people have always believed in psychic abilities. Psychic abilities are in the Bible, yo. God is within all of us and tells us things. That's not psychic? Okay. Anyway, I'm just saying, there's a lot more to life now, or there always has been, but I understand it now, and I'm trying to come more into tune. So if you do want to understand, like, dream interpretation, I'm going to have way more content on dream interpretation, truth-seeking. I'm going to do more psychic readings for people, because I've become much more in tune with people and their realities. But I just, you have to find this connection through dark matter before you can find light, because you don't find light, you create light. Understand that however you want to, but it's just a perspective and something to really think about with the twin flame journey. But I've understood very much how connected I am to everything, and essentially, depending on what type of creature you are, like as far as like knowing, and how long you've been here on this planet, in this school, in this karmic learning circle, I've been here for a very, very long time. At least it feels like it. And that is the most depressing thing I've ever experienced. And so I'm not tuning out of my psychic stuff. I'm going to become like a full-fledged, like, soul-sucking witch. No, I'm just kidding. But I am going to become a witch, and I am going to do like the things that I've created for myself already. Because I don't believe witchcraft is evil. My idea of evil is a lot deeper now, and it has a lot more of truth or consequences, karma type of relationship, for me to understand. And so I'm not making excuses for people, by the way, but I'm just trying to say, like, I understand how, like, dark matter works a lot better now. And so my judgment on people is not lesser, but it's just, like, one of those things that you wish you could control, but you know that you can't control. You can only change by talking about it. And so the more that we talk about it in society, it changes. So the spiritual journey, it slows you down. The twin flame journey slows you down. It makes you look at the darkness in life, and it makes you kind of realize that you are this individual creature in this giant reality, whether it's simulated or not, and whether you are this all being creature or not. Like, the universe is very intimidating, and you're a part of it, and you're this essentially a very strong part of it, but you're this individual strong part of it. So it's not necessarily that it's complicated, it's just that there's a lot of bits and pieces to it. Because if you go back to simulation theory and the psychological war, like with COVID and stuff, we're learning through our mistakes and learning through talking about things and bringing darkness into light. And that came from like a giant community type of thing. Like, we all came together and spoke up about it. And so that's what a lot of the twin flame journey has taught me about, like, self-love and your power, your individual power to create and change the world. And so I felt way less intimidated by the world, and I felt way stronger, and almost a little bit too strong. Again, going back to like the godlike feeling. And so again, it was depressing and feeling, and it's almost like it connected with God or my twin flame in a very deep psychic way. But I still don't understand it because he hasn't reached out to me. I really hope that he does reach out to me, because based off of what I've been told from my dreams and stuff, and him telling me that this is all simulated reality, it sounds like he's really depressed. And, I wish he would speak up about it if he is depressed, because I am a real creature. I have my own individual thoughts, and if he has been in my dreams and been, like, controlling my mind and body and spirit, just to try to teach me these things, you could just talk to me. I'm totally going to stay in tune with my psychic abilities, but you could just talk to me and I would listen. Just saying. So if there's something that you want to get off your chest, or if there's these emotions and feelings that you need to express, I'm here for you. Just saying. So yeah, like, I believe that strongly believe that we're like demigods, and we're capable of a lot of more psychic abilities than what we're told. So I'm going to tune deeply into that. So, stay tuned for that type of content, guys. Let's talk about some weird stuff while I look like a weirdo. Okay, bye.